A pleasant day to each and everyone. By the way, I am Janmark Lapiz and I am going to discuss about the mariculture. When we say mariculture, it refers to the farming of aquatic plants and animals in salt water. Thus, mariculture represents a subset of the larger field of aquaculture which involves the farming of both freshwater and marine organisms. So here are the major categories of mariculture. First is the seaweeds. Next, mollusks. Number 3, crustaceans. And number 4, finfish. Recent information indicates that the total amount of seafood, including freshwater species and aquatic plants, is about 140 million metric tons annually. Over 20% of total comes from aquatic plants, mostly the seaweeds. Marine fish account for only 2% of the total. So, mollusks consist of clams, oysters, abalone, scallops, and mussels. So, this represents the most important species cultured in marine waters. Next, we have the seaweeds. This includes brown seaweeds, red seaweeds, and the green seaweeds. These seaweeds are considered close second to the most important species cultured in marine waters. While most people do not think that they eat much seaweed, extracts from seaweeds can be found in everything from toothpaste and ice cream to automobile tires. Seaweeds themselves are dried and used directly as human food in many parts of the world. The next one is crustaceans. So crustaceans includes shrimps, crabs, lobsters, and crayfish. While shrimp culture has become a major industry in Asia and Latin America since the early 1980s, global production is far less than that of mollusks and seaweeds. Marine fish production is even smaller. And lastly, the finfish. Top finfish includes Atlantic salmon, milkfish, sea bream, sea bass, red drum, yellowtail, striped bass, and hybrid striped bass. So here are the top mariculture producing countries include the following. We have the China. The species they produce is mollusk and shrimp. Next is Japan. They produce algae, mollusk, yellowtail, and sea bream. In Taiwan, they produce mollusk, shrimp, and eels. In Philippines, they produce algae, shrimp, and milkfish. In United States, mollusk, shrimp, Atlantic salmon, and red drum. In Norway, we have the salmon. Ecuador, they produce shrimp. In Republic of Korea, algae and mollusk. And Indonesia, they produce, same with the Philippines, we have the algae, shrimp, and milkfish. And that ends my report. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something from my report. Thank you.
Everyone, my name is Earl Janiola, and I will discuss about the type of operation. So the type of operation has variously levels of technology are involved in mariculture. So the lowest giving nature in major role in producing the crop. So the culturists may help prepare the growing area but does little else. So for example, oyster culturists may place old shells. So this is the old shells. The oyster feed on wild plankton, phytoplankton, and are harvested when they reach the proper size. So the next level would be to spawn oyster in the hatchery. The larval oysters called spot. This is the spot that to settle on oyster shell. So after which the shell is placed on the oyster bed in base, suspended on ropes from a raft. Mussels and scallops can be grown on ropes below rafts. So next is ponds, shrimp and various species. So marine fishes are grown in ponds. Young shrimps and fishes are usually produced in hatcheries. So, the ponds may be filled with the seawater by pumping water or through tidal flow. The farmer opens the pod gate when the tide is rising and closes it when the pond is full. So, depending on the particular species being produced and the size at stocking, the time required for the animal reach market size range from a few months or nearly 2 years. Next is pen and cages. So, in additional to ponds, marine fish also are being reared in floating pens or cages in protected bays. So, most cultured salmon are produced in these types of facilities, primarily in Norway, Canada, the United States, Scotland, and Chile or Chile. So various other fish species also are being produced in pens and cages in Japan, Europe, and the Middle East. In recent years, there has been interest and a limited amount of activity associated with cage culture and offshore waters. Next and last is indoor facilities. Indoor facilities, the highest level of technology is associated with indoor facilities in which the animals are grown in the raceway or tanks. This is the sample of raceways and tanks, or the that we call circular raceways. The received pump seawater that may be taken directly from the ocean. The water may be flowed through the tanks and discarded, or it may be recirculated. That is reused by passing it through an elaborate water treatment system. So marine species can be reared to market size in such facilities, but they are most commonly used in hatcheries and to hold broodstock adults used for production. So, and that's all, and I hope you learned from my discussion.
Sheena Jaudines, and I'm gonna talk about considerations in mariculture. While a number of species are being reared successfully or being raised successfully by mariculturists, several desirable ones have not yet been produced economically. This lack of commercial production is because their life cycles either are difficult to control under culture conditions or are very complex. Low-technology forms of mariculture take advantage of the nutrients and other physical and chemical characteristics of the ocean. This employee works with cultured seaweed on East Africa plantation. The cycle of planting and harvesting occurs every 3 to 4 weeks year-round, and daily hours are spent preparing, planting, and collecting the seaweed during low tide. In addition, a number of popular food animals are highly cannibalistic. Various species of crabs and lobsters, for example, are difficult to rear species that also are cannibalistic. Opposition to mariculture has developed in several countries since the 1980s. Many people do not want to see pens and cages in their bays, and they are concerned about possible environmental impacts associated with mariculture. Scientists are attempting to address this in a variety of other issues that have been raised. The goal is to produce high-quality seafood in an environmentally responsible manner. Although world fish production from capture fisheries leveled off during the 1990s, demand for seafood continues to increase. This is because of the growth of a human population and also the view that seafood is healthy food. Scientists believe that natural production from the ocean will not increase consequently if the demand for seafood by humans is to be met in the future. Both mariculture and freshwater aquaculture production will have to increase significantly. And that's all for my topic. Thank you for listening.